Hello there, my very good friends. Andy Murray here for WhatCulture Wrestling. Sunday news video, flying solo. First one of these I've done in a while, but we've got a bunch to talk about. We're going to kick things off by talking about CM Punk pitching to join Blood and Guts. What on earth's going on? Timing delays on this week's episode of SmackDown. We have a former champion pulled from last night's AEW Collision. And on top of all of that, we have a WWE veteran ready to return after a long period injured. I'm Andy. I've already said that, but I'm so good, I'm going to introduce myself twice. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday video, and let's kick things off by talking about Blood and Guts. This match goes down in a week and a half in AEW on Dynamite. It's the Elite, it's the Blackpool Combat Club, it's a bloody big tear-up inside a cage, you know the score, and both sides are a partner down. Bryan Danielson would have been one of those people. He'd have been on the Blackpool Combat Club side, of course, but he fractured his silly forearm at Forbidden Door, which is a total bummer, of course. And the Elite, well, they're only 4 lads, so they'd have always needed an extra person in a 5-on-5 match. There has been a pitch to join that match from CM Punk. This is a report that started with Voices of Wrestling and has been corroborated by Fightful Select. So it's 2 outlets with very good track records, and there's some pretty interesting stuff on this report here that I'm just going to go through. And yeah, it's noted that Punk pitched to join the match, which is quite interesting given his troubles with certain participants in it. Now, it's not known if this was serious or if Punk actually thought that people were going to agree to it, but he did pitch it. You imagine him just kind of doing it to stir the pot a little bit, can't you? He's that kind of guy. He's that kind of bloke. Or maybe he just wanted to make some money. Who the heck knows? Punk has expressed an interest in working with the Elite. However, he has been told that for now that simply is not going to happen. It's noted, however, that Jon Moxley was actually kind of up for this. He was open to Punk getting involved, but AEW has already nailed down the partners. As of 2 weeks before the show, so earlier this week, they've decided on who's going to fill those mystery spots that are no longer on my screen, so why did I point to them? I don't know, I'm completely out of sync with myself. Now, one source of Fightful has stated, and I quote, "Neither side would want him. Neither team would want him." Sorry, Phil. Unlucky, mate. There's complex stuff to go through on both sides, and I'm not going to dive too much into the All Out, Brawl Out, all that. You know the score, you know what happened. But Moxley, of course, has had his own issues with Mr. Phil Brooks, as he outlined in that interview he did on The Sessions earlier this year, where he called him what's his D-I-C-K and used a bunch of other expletives throughout, but apparently open to working with him in this match. Now, it's not going to happen by the sounds of things, and should it happen? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of money to be made. Should the Elite and CM Punk and maybe Moxley and everyone else want to work together in the future? For sure. It's the biggest backstage turmoil story we've had in wrestling in a long, long time. But it's up to the wrestlers to decide they want to do that. It's not just about CM Punk and you know, his side. The Elite, the Young Bucks, Omega, Hangman Page, they have to go, yeah, we're up for doing this as well. And I can totally understand if they wouldn't want to do that, because they got in a fight with a guy and he like insulted them at press conferences and stuff. And look, I'm not taking sides in this issue. I'm just pointing out that there's bad things on both, and you can decide who did the worst. I like all the wrestlers involved. I would like to see them make a lot of money together, but if they are to make a lot of money together in a big feud, maybe it's best they don't start off in Blood and Guts on 2 weeks' notice when the main story is about the Blackpool Combat Club and not this guy right here. It's probably best to get their own spotlight, their own platform, if we're going to do that in the future. I obviously hope they do. I think it'd be really good for the company. I think it'd be really good for them as human beings as well. But again, I'm completely understanding of anyone's decision not to want to get involved with each other in all of this, because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's not like someone just called him a fanny or a dope or whatever. They had a fight and Kenny Omega got bitten and Larry maybe got hit by a door. It's personal. Hope Larry's doing okay. Let's move over to our next story of the day. We're going to talk about some timing issues on this week's episode of SmackDown. There they are. The Bloodline Boys, as they're known. People call them that all the time. There was some timing issues according to Fightful Select on this show. It stemmed from the Bloodline segment, which did go over quite a bit, actually, and several matches and entrances on the show had to be adjusted on the fly as a consequence of this. On SmackDown, it was the tribal court judgment of the tribal chief trial of Roman tribal chief Reigns, head of the table, the Bloodline Usos Cinema. I can't remember the full title. It was a whole deal, but it was another just wonderfully soapy, dramatic segment from this storyline. It was great stuff. Roman suckering the Usos in, delivering the low blow. Solo kind of redeeming himself from the splash that went wrong at Money in the Bank. We got a hospitalization angle. We got the lay being passed over. It was just good stuff across the board. You know what you're getting with this story right now? You're getting the biggest, most dramatic story beats in pro wrestling, and people are loving it. The viewership figures for these segments are insane. People adore this storyline, and it's really, really cool seeing something connect with so many people on this level. We've got a question about the Bloodline stuff later on, and I'll get to that at the end of the video. However, something that should be noted as well is that LA Knight, extremely popular human being, not being on the show. That had nothing to do with the timing issues. Apparently, he was only ever scheduled for a dark segment. So if you saw that LA Knight wasn't on the show, you saw the report on the timing issues. Not connected. He was never going to be on the show, apparently, which is a bit of a shame to me because guy rules and I want to see him every single week. But let us know down in the comment section how you're feeling about the Bloodline storyline. Are you still hooked? I mean, overwhelming majority of people still are, so I'll be very surprised if someone says no. Apart from the one guy who asks us a question every week about Roman Reigns being a belt hog and the story sucking. That guy's wrong. But yeah, chime in below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. It's a good time. We do this every day, usually with someone else, not just an inflatable microphone. But let's move on. That's the same segment. Let's move over to our next segment on this news video. An injured wrestler pulled from last night's Collision. Who was it? It was Willow Nightingale, obviously. She's on the telly. This was a bit of a pain in the ass. I was really looking forward to watching her and Athena in the Owen Hart tournament, but it couldn't happen. According to Tony Khan, before the show, Willow suffered injuries in Japan this week. She wasn't cleared to compete, and as a result, her and Athena have been pushed to next Friday's episode of Rampage. So hey, it's a reason to tune into Rampage. You know, a cool match. The Ring of Honor title match they had earlier this year rocked. And I'm pretty sure this one is going to as well. Now, there was a little segment covering this on last night's episode of Collision. Backstage stuff between Willow and Athena, a bit of back and forth, kind of annoying each other. And it ended up with Athena agreeing that if Willow beats her in the tournament, she can have a Ring of Honor title shot. So we might get this match twice, which to me is really cool because I really like these people and I want to see them having a big fight on television more than, well, I mean, it's going to happen more than once anyway. They've already wrestled this year. But yes, it will be great. By the way, if you've not checked it out, you should really try and find the Strong Women's Championship match between Willow Nightingale and Julia from New Japan Independence Day last week. It kind of got swallowed up a little bit in online discussion because there was just a lot of cool things happening on these shows. Eddie Kingston winning a belt, of course, the Grizzly John Moxley stuff that just cocktail stick skewer things coming out of his skull, and then all the things with the Bullet Club War Dogs, which is just really good stuff as well. So it's understandable that it got left behind in the discourse, but it's a really great match between Willow and Julia. Willow was born to throw lariats in Japan. Julia is the coolest person in the world. Check it out. Strong recommendation from myself. You watch it, you will not be disappointed. We're going to move over to our final story of the video and talk about R-Truth. He's coming back. Soon, hopefully. This is an update from PW Insider, noting that R-Truth was spotted in Birmingham, Alabama this week, and the belief is that he is being assessed ahead of an in-ring return. That's good, because he's been out since November, which is a long-ass time. He did tear a quad in an NXT match with Grayson Waller in November. That's why he's been gone for so long. But as well as this being just a tough injury that takes a long time to get over naturally, R-Truth actually suffered an infection that necessitated further surgery during his recovery, so that held him back. That postponed the comeback even more, but it sounds like he's on the mend. I can't imagine that being 51 years old helps in your recovery process either, but the guy's a machine. I mean, he's been at this for ages. He's one of the longest reigning employees in WWE. He's been current run since 2008, but goes back even further. If you remember K-Quick, I do because I'm really old. That was like turn of the century stuff. So yeah, I'm a serial enjoyer of R-Truth. I think that he has consistently been really funny in a company that doesn't always do funny well. He's just a fun presence on the lower mid card. I think he'll have a job for life. I think he should have a job for life. He made the 24/7 stuff actually worthwhile, at least for a period where others failed to do so. I think he's worthy of a lot of praise. I genuinely think R-Truth is a future Hall of Famer. Because his longevity, his endearing power as a personality on this roster. So I'm looking forward to having him back. He's the kind of guy, he might only appear like once a month or whatever, but he'll make you smile, he'll make you laugh, and he'll give you something memorable. He'll bring a ladder down the ring and try and enter a match he's not even involved with. Great stuff. Hope he's doing good. Hope he's doing well. I don't want to see that belt on his shoulder back, admittedly, but I do want to see the man himself back. He's a good lad. Anyway, we're going to move on to our questions for today. These ones came from the YouTube community, and thank you all for sending these in. Good stuff today. The first one comes from Lee the Brody, who asks, and there was a few questions of this ilk, so if you asked a similar one and I didn't get to you, I apologize. I just kind of took the one that caught my eye the most, but some good stuff here. You're all great. Lee asks, hey Andy, hope you're treating yourself well. I'm always treating myself well, friend. Given what they plan to do for next year's WrestleMania, with Cody Rhodes finishing his story with Roman Reigns, do you think the winner of the Royal Rumble should be added and make it a triple threat? Also, who should win that Rumble? Cheers. Cheers to you, Lee. I would keep them separate, personally. I would have the Royal Rumble winner go over and challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, whether that is still held by Seth the Chef or someone else completely. That's what I would do. I would prefer the Rhodes Reigns story, if it is to be finished, to not be, I don't want to use the word diluted because that's a bit mean to whoever wins the Royal Rumble, but I'd rather keep it as straightforward as possible. One-on-one, better man, picking up the victory, no outside kind of shenanigans from a third person. Although obviously entering the Royal Rumble into that story would be a huge vote of confidence in the Royal Rumble winner. I would keep it straightforward and I'd have the Royal Rumble winner go and challenge whoever has the other belt. LA Knight. Good shout for that at the moment, provided they can keep his popularity where it is right now, and I don't see why they wouldn't because the guy's hilarious. He's a good guy to win the Royal Rumble. Let's move over to our next question of the day. It comes from Daniel Lopez, who asks, what's up, Andy? Hi. Good to see you, Daniel. What is your favourite moment from the Bloodline story? I had to think for a while about this one, but I keep going back to Sami Zayn finally standing up for himself and turning on these gaslighting psychopaths who'd been controlling his life for so long. I mean, that pop was just absolutely thunderous at the Rumble. It was sensational stuff. And it's the kind of thing that you'll remember, and well, for the rest of your days, really. The storyline's given us a lot of that throughout the duration. I mean, even as recently as Money in the Bank, this week's episode of SmackDown, the various trial segments we've had. It's been a story built on these huge cinematic theatrical moments, and rather than, I mean, the matches themselves are kind of just a way of delivering those a lot of the time. It's like, I joke sometimes, I'll cook some French fries just to eat mayonnaise, right? The French fries are a vehicle to eat mayonnaise or ketchup or whatever. And in this case, the match is the fry and the mayonnaise is the segments and the moments. Just one of the all-time great classic. I'm reticent to use that word. I really don't like using that word unless I know a moment is going to stand in time and resonate for decades and decades. That one will. I mean, Sami and Kevin's hug as well. There's far too many, but Sami getting the chair, cracking the tribal chief, Roman going on the mat, all of that stuff. Great, super smashing. Let us know down below your favourite moment in the Bloodline storyline as well. And our final question of the day is a big one. It's from, I don't know how to say your username, friend, so INCXP Tings. Sorry, friend. Who do you think should beat every current champion for their belt on the main roster? Okay, I've had to make a list here because there's like 8 belts, or like 12 if you include tags and Roman's props, but Let's just go through these. No explanation. I'm just going to give you some names. Who should dethrone Roman Reigns, undisputed champion, blah, blah, blah. Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania next year. World Heavyweight Championship, who should dethrone Seth? Gunther. Be sick. Women's Champion Asuka, who should she get beat by? Io Sky. Rhea Ripley, Women's World Champion. Nobody. Candice LeRae would be a really good feud. They're very contrasting styles, personalities. It'd be great. Great way to elevate Candice as well, because her main roster run, I would have liked it to have been better so far. Intercontinental Champion, Sheamus. Yes. Grand Slam. Great. One-on-one. Boom, boom, boom. US Champion Austin Theory. Get that belt off him immediately and put it on LA Knight. If he's not going to be in the world title picture straight away, this is a good way to elevate that belt and really make people get invested in it. The Austin Theory reign has been pretty mid, I think, so far. Men's Tag Team Championships. Pick 2 people from the LWO. I don't mind who. They are all awesome. They're all great. Just get a combination in there and have them dethrone Zayn and Owens at some point. I know it's face versus face, but it would also be great versus great, and that's more important to me. The LWO are a lot of fun. I'm really into them. And the Women's Tag Team Champions, there's not a lot of standout teams because there's not a lot of pairings that have been together for a long time. They keep splitting up all over the place, like 6 weeks after they're put together. But with that in mind, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. There you go. They're established. They've been around for ages and ages and ages. They can have a fun feud with Liv and Raquel. And that's who I think should be the next set of champions in WWE. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who would you put in those spots instead? Let us know down below. Thank you for joining me today. If you liked this video, you're going to love this one right here. See you later. Bye.